Welcome back to another episode of You're Not My Father. Today's episode is about common parenting advice. I don't know if I would say that parenting advice is common. Feels like there's a lot of information out there, there's a lot of it conflicting. Um, is there a problem with that? I don't know. I think every parent has to decide who they are first. Like, who are you as a parent? Are you a giving, caring, nurturing parent? Are you there with them on a regular basis? Or are you more of a standoffish parent and you show up every once in a while and you try to be good? Or, some of the other ones, like just really bad parents, people that, um, they're not involved in their kids' lives at all, or they're abusive, they're mean, um, they don't build them up, they're constantly tearing them down. I feel like there's a lot of bad parenting advice out in the world. And so I guess this episode is just more about me kind of talking about some what I feel is like the common parenting tips that people should have. So let's jump into it. Being a parent is kind of like it's like being a kid. You know, it's a new experience. I remember very vividly the first time that my wife said she was pregnant. I was like, whoa. Um, it was a really funny time. My buddy Luke was hanging out with me, and he said like just this look came over my face, that I was just, you know, like he said, like I just kind of went white, and for good reason. Getting married is a union between a man and a woman typically. It's at least the way it's most of the time been throughout history. Um, and that's a commitment that you have some control over. It's a business model for the personal life in a lot of ways. You're signing up with this partner. You're going to go forward in life together. You're going to share resources. You're going to care about each other. You're going to take care of each other, um, and love each other. And that's a big commitment. But it's between two people. Um, and at any given point in time, somebody can just walk away and leave. That's not a good thing to do, not by any means, but sometimes it happens. But having a child in your life is completely different. This is something that you can't really walk away from. This is your flesh and blood. This person needs you. It's a much bigger commitment, and it was a little bit of a shock. And it wasn't that I was sad or scared, maybe intimidated, but it's something that you just don't jump into. So being a parent is a kind of a big deal, but it's a learning process. I didn't know anything about kids really. I mean, I tried to learn, but I mean, what it comes down to is nobody's ever really ready for kids. I always heard like, well, I'm going to wait and have kids when I'm ready. And everybody will tell you, you're never ready. Never. Doesn't matter how much money in the world that you have, you're never ready to kind of deal with that. I'm not a rich person, and certainly wasn't, we're close to being well off whenever we had Sophia, our firstborn, and it was a big challenge. And so the kind of like the the old wives' tales, what do they call them? The common wisdom is saying, like you have your starter baby, and then all your kids after that are, they don't get the same affection or attention or the same doting over, and it's kind of true. With Sophia, we were kids ourselves. I mean, we were in our early 30s and or mid 30s, yeah, mid 30s. So we were adults, but not having kids before. It was, whoa, whoa, big deal. Um, But yeah, we kind of I felt like I was a kid myself. I'm not really ready for this. What do I do with a child? And, you just tackle it the same way that you tackle any other important thing in your life. You try to learn, you try to pay attention to it. You put a lot of yourself into it. And yeah, I in the beginning, I I let my wife she'd love that. Um, I didn't really try to be as involved with the day-to-day baby stuff, like changing diapers and staying up with her and these types of things. And for several years into Sophia's life, Julie was more of that parent that she went to if something happened, or if she needed something, or she just needed comfort. She was more of a mama's girl. And I felt like this supreme sense of longing and need to at least share in some of that, you know, that want and that need. And so it was a growing experience for me. And I'll never forget where my mind really changed on that. I was reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, and in it he mentioned, kind of a similar type of experience had happened to him. And what he wanted to do with his second child was to really be outgoing and be there and be involved in that kid's life, all of it, not just let the mother take care of everything. And so I did that with Conan. Admittedly, sometimes maybe not so much, but I did my best, I think, to get in there and really, you know, be that go-to whatnot. And he's still a mama's boy, but there's a lot of times where, he did come to me and he did want to be with me and not necessarily with her in some cases. And that meant the world to me. I mean, it was a wonderful feeling. And even to this day, he'll say something like, "Mommy this, Mommy that." And I'll be like, "What about Daddy? What about me?" Um, and so he'll come over but it's such a great feeling. Even today, he came into my office here and he just gave me a hug and he just wanted to tell me he loved me. And sometimes I'm aggravated, sometimes I'm concentrating on work and um maybe I'm just not in the mood, so to speak, but something like that always makes me feel better. Unless he's being conniving and he's like, "Oh, well, maybe I want to get something out of Dad." And I'll tell him what he wants to hear. And I guess that's okay too, because after all, it is kind of what I want to hear. So, but common parenting advice, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn as you go. Even if you're reading all these books, and I read books and I tried to understand what was going on. But keep in mind, like, these books this is somebody else's life. This is somebody else with some other kid. And sure, there's certain things that will bleed over into your life with your kid, that you'll be like, okay, that's spot on. But a lot of times, it didn't mesh up. And little reason, they're human beings too, just like us. I've got a thick head sometimes and I don't get things through my head, and maybe I need explained to me a couple times, or maybe they're not as aggressive, or maybe they're more passive. I mean, everybody's different, and your kids are going to be different too. I mean, they're already different. Even twins sometimes are incredibly different. So you have to treat them like people. You have to try to understand who they are. But like kind of what I was going back in the beginning was saying, you need to understand who you are. And I've had a difficult experience with that. I've had a difficult time realizing kind of who I am. I feel like I change a lot. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad. And, I'm almost 50 now, and I kind of feel like maybe I'm getting my stuff together finally. Maybe I really kind of understand who I am. And I'm starting to narrow down my focus. But, you know, you may not have that problem. That's kind of a me problem. I don't know. It's hard to say. But your kids are their own people. They'll be different than you. They might look like you, but they'll start acting different, and they may not listen to your advice, and they may listen to some of it, and who knows. But you need to explore with them. You need to explore who they are with them. It's a journey. It's not an end goal. It's not like you can kind of check that off and be like, hey, these kids, I got them figured out. No problem. No, they change. My daughter, it's been a hell of a ride to see, like, I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like that. And then she's like, well, I like that now. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? I don't know. Don't know. So it's been fun to learn. And that's the other thing. It's kind of a roll of the dice. Today, what do you like? I like this. You didn't like that yesterday. Well, now I do. It's like, well, there you go. For me, I've explored all kinds of stuff in my life, and there's been so many things that at first blush, I was like, I'm not in that. I'm not, that's not, it's not something I'm into. Case in point, first time Pearl Jam came out, I was not into Pearl Jam. I was like, no. I mean, I was a hair metal guy, in high school, and that was just kind of my deal. Guns N' Roses and, Motley Crue and, all kinds of different stuff. And then it got kind of washed out and, kind of commercialized, and grunge came out, and there was some cool stuff. And at first blush, again, Pearl Jam kind of seemed like that type of thing. And then I grew to really like them. And there's a lot of bands and things in life that the first time around, I just kind of wrote them off. I was just like, nah, it's not for me. And then I grew to love them. Your kids are going to be the same way. They're going to take a bite of something, and they're going to be like, oh, I don't like that. And then later on, they might wonder about it or question it and be like, I'll take another bite, and be like, that's really good. I enjoy this. So yeah, they're just like you. And so parenting isn't so much of like a gardening type of operation. You got to put the right soil in, you got to do this, you got to buy the right products and do all this stuff. It's much more of, a mentor of you're on this journey with them. Like, you're their guide, you're taking care of them. Really the whole shepherd equation really works incredibly well, because sheep tend to wander. I was at church the other day, they were talking about that. Our pastor was going on through the different parables, the parable of the 10 coins, the prodigal son, and he kept making the case of, the shepherd and the sheep. And as a father, as a parent, you are that shepherd, and you've got your flock to tend to. Your kids are sheep, and they want to go and munch on things. They want to go eat and try things, and they will get lost. They will find a way to get out. And so it's really your job to kind of, temper them and keep them on the path, and help guide them. In a lot of ways, like Christianity is like that too. We had a discussion in Bible study the other morning about people that just gotten baptized, and not getting too deep into it, but one of the gentlemen there, he's also a pastor. Really kind of gave it as a seed type of thing. It's like a newly baptized person who's a believer in Jesus Christ. They're a seed. They're a seed that needs to be watered and nurtured and guided. And so I think his comment is that you get them to grow deep roots so they can grow great fruits, or something like that, paraphrasing that. And that works so well as an example of what we have to do as parents, not just from a physical standpoint, growing those roots of knowledge so that way they can grow up to be great people. And when I say great, I mean like good people, not epic whatever people. My light just went out. Oh no. But not really, world-changing people, but just people that are great, like they're really good people, That's what my dad would call them, good people. And at the same time, we have to kind of nurture them as seedlings for their spirituality. We have to help guide them in that way. And with our son, he's taken that to like a duck to water. And I feel like as a family and a father, I'm so incredibly blessed to have him know the good news and to be a part of that. And my daughter kind of struggles with it because, she's come more into the direct path of faith. I mean, we've always been a spiritual household, but I don't think she got the spiritual education. She didn't get the watering. Her seed wasn't tended to. And so it's just now starting to grow. But it's growing slowly, where Conan just right out of the gate, he started growing really incredibly quickly. So if there's a metaphor here, we're that farmer, we're that shepherd, we're that caretaker in our kids' lives. And all the other stuff that, they need to eat the right thing, they need to do this, that comes with who you are. That's why it's important to know who you are, because they're going to be a lot of a reflection of you. They say that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, and it's true. I mean, they're a product of you. And so it almost sounds like kind of what I'm saying is that I've stopped growing, and that as parents we're a tree and we're not growing anymore. And that's not the case. We're still growing. I'm still trying to surround myself with really positive, great people. When I say great people, again, not epic world changers, but people who are good people, but they're great people to me. They mean a lot to me. And I've had the pleasure of meeting more and more great people in the past couple of years, especially since I've been going to church on a regular basis, and I found an incredibly great church. And every time I go to Wednesday morning Bible study, it's early. You have to get up at 5 to get ready and be out the door, be there at 6. And some days I'm just like, man, I would rather fall asleep. I'm gonna lay in bed and I'm gonna be lazy and whatever. But every day I go, I feel energized. I feel pumped. I feel rejuvenated. It's the watering. It's the tending to, between Sunday and Wednesday, I'm not necessarily always surrounded by great people. I'm not surrounded by mentors and examples of men and people that I really need to enrich my life, and they're not nurturing my soul. They're not helping add to this gift that Christ has had. And so the more I surround myself with these people, the more I feel like I continue to grow, and my roots deepen and my fruits increase. And it's something that feeds my kids, that feeds all of us and other people I touch. And it's an incredible feeling. It really is. So don't stress the details on common parenting. Just don't do it. Just be mindful, be in the moment, be spiritual. I'll tell you, accept Jesus Christ into your life, and study. Don't take face value what people say. Read the word yourself. Really study the word. And not everything in the Bible is literal. It's not. I went through a how to study the Bible class. There's literal meanings. There's allegorical meanings. And I hope I'm saying this correctly. There's parables. Not everything that's said in the Bible means the same thing. At face value, sometimes you have to dig for the meaning. In a lot of cases, Scripture sharpens other things that it said in Scripture. I'm no pastor. What I can tell you with a great amount of certainty is that I believe in the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, that He died for our sins, that He gave us access to the Father. And as wordy and chatty as I am, I feel like I don't have words, but inside I have so much love. I have love for Christ. I have love for people. I have love for my family. I was married before. My past father-in-law, I asked him one time. I was like, "What is Christ trying to say?" And if you could sum it up into one word, it was. I guess maybe I was being genuine, but also kind of flippant in a way. Like, could you do it? And he thought about it. He said it was love. And at that point in time, I don't know what I thought, but it stuck with me. It rattled around in my brain, and I was still trying to learn. I was really thirsty for spiritual knowledge at that point, but I was also arrogant, and I wasn't doing it the right way. And I don't know. I thought I could take my own path, and I just didn't allow people to water my seed, to nurture me. And that was a big mistake. But now I do believe Christ is love, and that's all you need for your kids. You need to love them. You need to respect them. You need to be there with them, and that's it. But just saying it's all about love and love your kids, doesn't make really for a great video. And sometimes you need some perspective to kind of put that into your thought. So there's lots of great resources out there. One of the best things that's happened to me in recent times was Raising Kids God's Way. I think that's the name of the book. We went through that, and if you're looking for a spiritual way to raise your kids, that's an incredibly great tool. It really is. There's a video series that kind of goes with it. I hope I said that right, as far as the title goes, but really, really great stuff. So, know yourself, try to learn about yourself, continue to grow yourself, surround yourself with positive, really great people, and try to do that with your kids. And that's all I got for you today. Outside of that, I guess the whole video podcast thing for me is a little bit new, so I didn't do any B-roll footage. I didn't shoot something over here or shoot something over there. This is just me talking. This is kind of more of like what my original podcast format is. So I felt compelled to say this today. Hopefully you got something out of it. I really do. And if you listened to it this far, I'm just assuming that you got something out of it. But anyway, yeah. I'm going to do some other podcasts where I do some more other personal stuff, but I felt like this was a good perspective to have from somebody like me, who's just a father trying to make his way through this galaxy. So anyway, from the wonderful world of Anchorage, Alaska, this is Thomas Greenman. You're not my father.